Hello everybody, welcome back to the Chensor Dynasty. I am James Chen, your host, and this is the Q&A section that I've been doing every Chen reaction, every stream now. After I talk about my main topic, then I just talk about just whatever the chat wants to talk about, to be honest with you. So what you don't see in the chat here is above what F. Wiley said. He said, slightly off topic, but my early contender for moment of the year is probably Rixta versus Knee at Combo Breaker. Yeah, that was an amazing match, especially like F. Wiley says, watching Rixta. Oh, that's right. You also, Rixta watching that match afterwards, but just watching Rixta during the match was also super amazing. Because the way that he was reacting and how the audience was the first time he heard the audience roar and really kind of affected him and everything like that, which was actually really cool to hear him talk about those kind of things. So shout outs to Rixta. I hope he does do some commentary, but if not doing commentary means, winning the last chance qualifier, let's go, Rixta, let's go. So, but again, thanks for tuning in. If you guys have any questions for me, please feel free to put things in the chat with @jchensor. Also, if you want to let me know more information about the Tekken World Tour, any other interesting storylines that you feel like you guys want to share, let me know as well, and I can talk about them here in the chat as well. Going to Thailand confirms that Sagat will be in Tekken 7. I mean, you know what? Why not? They've been putting all the bad guys in there, right? All the evil guys, except for Noctis, right? That Noctis is the only hero guest in there. But outside of that, like I said, if you guys have any questions, just feel free to type @jchensor in the chat about any topic. These sections are all about AMAs. You can ask me anything, and I will answer whatever I feel like. So C-Tech Crazy Max says, I've always preferred the TWT finals format over Capcom Cup finals. Do you agree? If so / not, then why? I do agree, and I disagree, but I mostly agree. I think it's awesome. I love their format. I do like that the Capcom Pro Tour, however, allows for 32 players instead of 20. That's the only really downside to it. And then, of course, the biggest downside of Capcom Cup is a fourth of the players go 0-2, right? That happens at any double elimination bracket. So there's going to be a lot of people who have been waiting to get to this thing, and a lot of fans out there who want to see their favorite player, like Smug, for example. Let's say Smug gets in the tournament, and then he goes 0-2. That's really depressing. Like Idom gets there, and he goes 0-2, and it's really kind of dependent on the matchup that you get placed into and stuff like that. I think that's kind of unfortunate. I really do think that I kind of came up with an alternate format that I thought would be really, really cool. One of the alternate formats that I really wanted is that the top seeded player gets to pick who they go up against, and then they just keep doing that until everybody is picked up, right? So if Punk says, you know what, I want to face Bonchan in the first round, he can just pick Bonchan in the first round, and number 1 and number 2 will just be going up against each other, so number 1 gets to pick whoever they want, and that adds a lot of drama. That also makes it so that nobody knows who their matchups are going into Capcom Cup, so they can't just be like, well, I have no chance of ever running into Zenith or Sako, so I'm not going to practice against Manat. You know what I mean? Chances are I'm not going to run into them. Most likely I'm going to run into Gachikun, so I'm going to practice against Rashid. I kind of like the concept of not knowing what your matches are going into the tournament. So if there was a little bit of that kind of randomness generated into there by not knowing, except for obviously someone like Punk, he's like, you know what, I'm pretty sure I'm going to pick this guy. So that's your advantage of being in first place, is then you know who you get to fight against, but you have no idea who anybody else is picking, so you don't know how the rest of the bracket is going to fall out and all that stuff like that. So there's just a lot of little really interesting stuff going like that. I think that would actually be really fun to do. and make something different and shake it up a little bit. Unfortunately, that still means some players will still go 0-2. If they wanted to do something similar to the Tekken World Tour, maybe they could try to split it into multiple pools like that, but 4 pools is obviously the best amount, and so that way you have 8 players, the highest 2 from each one, but then you could have 5 people in each of them, which makes 20 players, but if you make 6 people in each one of them, which would make 24 players, still not as quite a many. So if you put 8 players in each of these pools to get to the point where you can have 32 players invited to the tournament, the pools are too big. It's too hard to run them. You're gonna basically run out of time if you do. It's a tough way to logistically to make it work to get 32 people in there. And that's the thing about Street Fighter V is that Street Fighter V clearly has like 50. They could do top 64, and all 64 players would be super interesting, and you'd want to see it. So limiting it to 20 is kind of a sad face thing. But that 20 works the best for the Tekken World Tour format. So I do like that Capcom Pro Tour is the double elimination bracket, so they can have 32 players. Obviously, I would like to make sure every player got to play more often than just twice, guaranteed. But again, logistics, time, format, there's a lot of things that go into the equation more than just, hey, let's just do it. Hey, it works that way. So, it's kind of crazy that way. Yeah, AL40, I wouldn't be expecting anything for Street Fighter 6 this year. I really sincerely doubt it, mostly just because they've already announced Street Fighter 5 for the Olympics Olympics next year, unless they're going to show a super early beta of Street Fighter 6, but I don't know. I think that would be a bad idea because I think that would harm Street Fighter V a little bit right now. And I think just from a logistics and from a timing standpoint, you'd probably want to save a Street Fighter 6 announcement for one more year. That's how I would feel about the whole entire thing. So, because there are 2 unannounced games coming from Capcom. I mean, if you think that any of them are actually fighting game stuff, more power to you. Look, Capcom has been killing it in everything except for their fighting games. So I would totally expect RE3 remake, which apparently people have already shown that it was revealed or something like that. I saw some box art for it, but I don't know if it was real or not. But all this other stuff like that. So I'm sure there's already leaked, unfortunately. So that was probably one of them. So. Oh, man. Hey, Lord Tiki, I've been saying that for a long time. So Lord Tiki says fighting games should follow the tennis format. A Grand Slam tournament should be 1 week. I would love that. However, the reason why we can't do that is because most of the people who are in these tournaments aren't doing it professionally. This is not their life, right? So they aren't making money off of this at all. So to force these guys into taking a week of vacation from their jobs to do this kind of thing, that it's not a good idea. If we can get big enough to the point where every match is like this crazy first to 10 grind for every player, we can definitely extend these World Tour finals into longer events, but we're just not at that point right now. Yeah, and extending EVO even 1 day is a huge increase in cost, just like Nutacon said. It's tough. It's a tough situation. It'd be something that's really cool, but what are you doing, Jasmine? It's just not going to happen anytime soon, unfortunately. So the whole concept of PC having better sponsors, in my opinion, is false. I don't even think that's true, to be honest with you. I think that's false because the fighting game community, esports in general, has a valuable demographic. And this demographic buys everything, right? Not just computer games and stuff like that. Especially for the FGC. McDonald's, Burger King, why haven't they sponsored the FGC in major, because like I feel like we hit the target demographic, right? Cheap fast food, right? I mean, like, that's perfect. Popeye's Chicken should 100% sponsor the fighting game community. Like, seriously, Popeye's Chicken could be such a major player in the fighting game community if they really wanted to, because everybody talks about it all the time already over here, you know? It would be a wonderful thing to sponsor. I think that anybody could sponsor. It's just that you have to convince them. The only reason why people talk about... what are you doing, Jasmine? You're just pulling my network cable out. God, cat, stop it. We have such a powerful demographic. The reason why PC stuff works right away is because it's related, right? So while nobody has picked up on esports using the esports demographic as a great market, it's easiest to use the PC stuff to hit them up, because then you can also, you know, use their monitors at tournaments, use their headsets at tournaments, etc., etc. It's an easy start. But if you look at something like NASCAR, which is super popular, obviously, so we're not even quite there yet, but half the things that you see written on cars have nothing to do with cars, right? I mean, Viagra is a big sponsor of NASCAR, and while maybe there is a little bit, you know, something related of guys driving big, powerful muscle cars and Viagra, generally they're not in the same demographic, right? And so anything, oh, they haven't sponsored Viagra in years. Okay, I don't actually watch NASCAR, so I don't know, but NASCAR is having a major sponsor crisis right now. That's interesting. I had no idea, C-Tech Crazy Max. That's actually really kind of neat to hear. Not because I'm happy that it's happening. It's just that it's interesting to me. It's a fascinating aspect that I was unaware of. And to me, that's like just more information to process on how to compare it to FGC and stuff like that. It's interesting. Okay. But yeah, in any case, things don't have to necessarily be related in order to be a great sponsorship. So I think the whole idea of needing to be on PCs and all that stuff like that. Exactly, Joe Hidalgo. But yeah, you don't have to be necessarily related and tied in demographically, in my opinion, to sponsor FGC and fighting games and things like that. So. But yeah, I think it would be, I think I was talking about, that was still talking about the, sponsorship and stuff. Let me see. Fighting Feng Huang asks, I asked about favorite old school tech, but during your time in the arcade, what do you consider the rudest tech you've ever had to deal with in arcades? The rudest tech in arcades. I was always the kind of person who believed that anything that you do is legal and valid. Oh, okay, maybe the rudest tech that I ever did was one of my friends played me in Street Fighter II World Warrior and killed me with Guile's magic throw, and I definitely got super mad about that one. Maybe shaking the cabinet, yeah. But yeah, he just magic threw me to death, and I got super salty about that. So what would I like to see in new fighters? Asks F. Wiley. That's a great question. I've always just said better one-player content, better motivation to play ranked, more progress in other aspects of the game for playing ranked, not necessarily directed towards ranked points. I want to see a de-emphasis of ranked points and a stronger emphasis on a bunch of other things. I would like to see active concept analysts analyzing of your gameplay. So, for example, if the game will just take statistics, and if you block like 7 jump attacks, that'll just be a danger number, and it'll be like, you have blocked 7 jump attacks. You should practice your anti-airs. Boom, anti-air. Would you like to play the anti-air tutorial? Like, you know, find the best anti-air for your character to stop this jump in. And then all of a sudden they just jump in, and then after you complete it, it just goes away. And then, like, things like that will just pop up. Like, you've jumped over like 80% of the fireballs you jumped over, you get DP'd. Here's the neutral jump the fireball training, stuff like that. I think actually be really, really cool. Rise of the Robots. I don't think I played Rise of the Robots at all, actually. How's my boy Seth doing these days? Mr. Seth Killian is actually doing well. He's working at Epic Studios right now and doing stuff for Fortnite. So, and I think he moved over to the East Coast, I think. So, yeah, he's doing well. He's doing good stuff right now. Balls. God. Balls. How that game was made, right? It was like someone was like, oh, look, if you use these balls and hinge them onto each other, when you move them, you can like mimic the way people look and stuff. Like, why don't we make a fighting game out of this? And it's just like, oh my God, come on. Netcode, look, Fighting Feng Huang, netcode is a given. I shouldn't even have to say I want to see better netcode in the next game, in the next few fighting games, because that should be a given. That should be guaranteed, and it's crazy. 25th anniversary of the PS1. What was your favorite PS1 game? My favorite PS1 game? I had a lot of good games on there. Funny story, when Parappa the Rapper was first introduced, me and all of my friends were like, man, this is the stupidest looking game ever. Who the hell would ever want to buy Parappa the Rapper? And then on one of my birthdays, they bought me clearly a CDK-sized birthday present. But they created a Parappa the Rapper out of like cardboard paper, like they reproduced him and created and taped it on the package and said, "Could it be?" Like in a little like a little bubble in there, and we were like, oh God, you didn't really buy me Parappa the Rapper, did you? And then I opened it up and it turned out to be Star Wars Masters of the Terrakasi, which was the Star Wars fighting game on the PlayStation 1. The ironic part about the whole entire thing is that Star Wars Masters of Terrakasi turned out to be a god-awful game, and then we also found out later on that Parappa the Rapper is one of the greatest games ever made, and so we actually unironically bought the game and just loved that game to death, because Parappa the Rapper is just the most amazing game. So Parappa the Rapper was a great game. Speaking of, Vib Ribbon was probably one of my favorite PS1 games. Metal Gear Solid was super cool. Obviously, Symphonies of the Night is probably one of the greatest video games of all time. Silent Hill 2 was a PlayStation 2 game. Silent Hill is PlayStation 2, right? It's so hard for me to remember at this point in time. But yeah, so it is. Yeah, okay, that's a PlayStation 2. But Symphonies of the Night also obviously is one of the greatest PlayStation 1 games of all entire time. But Silent Hill 1 was also just a miraculous game for the time. I mean, I still remember the first time I played Silent Hill 1. I was just like, what is even happening here? Like, this is not cool at all. This is not cool at all. So, wait, Final Fantasy VIII is a PlayStation 1 game? Final Fantasy VIII is a PlayStation 1 game, right? Yes. Final Fantasy VIII is also one of my favorite games as well. I loved Final Fantasy VIII a lot. I loved Final Fantasy VIII. What are you doing, kitty? So Final Fantasy VIII would be one. No, that's a piece of fuzz. Don't eat that, Jasmine. So IMAX Mouse asks me, thoughts on Goldeneye for the N64. I am going to break everybody's heart right now and let everybody know that I have never played Goldeneye on the N64. I've never played Goldeneye on the N64. I have absolutely no experience with it. I've never experienced the pain of Oddjob, etc., 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 which is odd for me because, one, I love James Bond, right? So I love James Bond. However, part two of that is I hate Goldeneye, the movie. I hate Goldeneye, like literally one of the worst James Bond movies in my opinion. And three, first-person shooters made me sick. So I just never played first-person shooters. I just didn't play first-person shooters. So that was one of the reasons why I never played GoldenEye, was because it would actually make me sick. I get very, very bad motion sickness thanks to first-person shooters. I'm not sure what Max Mouse is incredulous about right now. I don't know if it's the I've never played it, or I hate the movie GoldenEye, or that it makes me sick. I'm not sure. Yeah, and a lot of people say that too, is that it was great back in the day, but it just doesn't hold up anymore. But, I mean, a lot of people can say the same things about stuff like Mario Kart 64, but I still think Mario Kart 64 battle mode is like the best battle mode in all of Mario Kart history. I miss that. I miss that. So, even the modern ones, Isaac Locke. So, when Overwatch came out, I didn't play it, and David's like, you should play it with the rest of us. It's really fun. And I was like, I'll get sick. He's like, the new games are much better. I used to get a little woozy. I don't get sick with Overwatch. Come over to my place and play Overwatch on my computer and see how you hold up. I went to his place. I played a bunch of Overwatch, and I was like, actually, you know what? I think you're right. I think this actually might work pretty decently. So then I got up to leave, and then I started feeling a little sick, and I got in my car, and as soon as I started driving, everything just kind of was like, and I was like, oh, God. And then I realized that I can't play it, basically. So, yeah, I am not very good at first-person shooters. I can play games like Splatoon because Splatoon has you on the screen and doing stuff. So I might even be able to do stuff like Fortnite, but I cannot do first-person games. Directly first-person games just destroys me. I still remember when my friend, basically my best friend from junior high, I visited him in Arizona one time, and one day I just sat there and watched him play Duke Nukem, and I watched him play that, and then after a few hours of him playing that, he stopped, and I couldn't move. I sat down on his couch, and I just felt like I wanted to die. I felt like I wanted to die for about an hour or two. I think I've told the story before as well, that when I went on the Harry Potter ride at Universal Studios in Orlando, the one that puts you in front of the giant screen, and you're like on the broom, and you're flying on the broom, and you're like, this is amazing! And then I realized I was about to die. By the time it got to the second screen, so it rolls to a second screen and does a second thing, I don't remember what was on the second screen, because when it got there, I realized it was going to kill me. And when we got to the third screen, I did not watch any of it. I had my eyes closed the entire time for the third screen and just feeling the chair shaking, and I was already nauseous. And then basically by the time I got out of the ride, the people that I was with had to sit there for an hour waiting before I could actually get up and walk again. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about first-person games that destroy me so badly. The other story I always tell is my best friend from high school, one of my two best friends from high school, came over and visited me and brought his PlayStation VR kit, right? Because I just really wanted to try it and see if I could handle it. And Gran Turismo supports it, right? So I put the headset on, we turn on Gran Turismo, and I'm looking around the car, and I'm stuff like, this is so cool. I can see everything in the car. It's like I'm in here. All right. Deet, 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 deet. And I start driving, and I'm like, whoa. And then I took the first turn, and as soon as I took the first turn, I ripped the headset off, and I was like, nope, can't do this. Can't do this at all. Cannot do this. And that was it. That was my VR experience with that. We did play some Star Wars games, which weren't as bad because you're flying in space and the stuff around you is not as noticeable. And I guess I just have no analogous experience to flying in space. I played a horror game on VR, and just in the demo section, you know, where you have to walk up to a TV and like turn it on, I hit forward on the controller. My character started to walk forward. And because I didn't feel the motion of myself walking forward, I can't even remember which way it felt like I was being pushed, okay? That's how confusing it was to my brain. But because I didn't feel the sensation of walking, even though it looked like I was walking, it felt like someone was pushing me. Because I didn't feel a lean in a direction. So it felt like someone was pushing me. So I started to compensate against it And I think it felt like someone was pushing me backwards. So I started leaning forward while I was walking because it was so unnatural to me. And I literally almost fell over because it just felt so wrong to me. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's weird. I eventually kind of got used to it. I muscled through it. I powered through it and played like an hour of that game. And after I was done, after the hour, I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And I just basically had to sit to the side and rest. It's really, really crazy. So, where you have stationary things on screen. That's probably good. I mean, it's personally why I don't think VR is the next big thing. So the current big thing that changed the world was the internet, right? The internet has had such a strong impact on the world that people probably didn't predict it was going to have back in the day, right? A lot of people, when they try to pick the next big world-changing thing, I've always said it's going to be 3D printing. I've always believed it was 3D printing, and everybody was like, no, it's going to be VR and AR. And the reason why I don't believe it's going to be VR is because I feel like half the world is going to get sick from VR, and so it's just not going to be happening. The only way VR can work is if once VR becomes a little bit more mainstream, that they teach VR in grade school, that they force kids to do VR. A bunch of people are doing this VR thing for like this little kind of fighting game VR thing. You've probably seen Elver talk about it a little bit. You've probably seen Crackfiend talk about it a little bit. But I got a chance to try it out and see how it works, to give feedback. I was there with a bunch of people. Everybody else was great. Everybody was like, this is amazing. This is really cool. For me, I got sick. And after we all finished and left the store, I sat outside for like an extra 30 minutes just to make sure I could gather myself. You know, like I can't handle VR. I don't know what it is about VR that I can't do. But when it works, it's amazing. For sure, Isaac Locke. So when I played Beat Saber, it was fine because Beat Saber requires no walking. So it was actually kind of cool. But the thing about it is there's just going to be a lot of things about VR that we need to figure out, right? The act of walking in a VR game, but not actually walking in real life, just doesn't work for me. So you need to be able to have that weird track floor that moves in every direction that I think I've seen like high budget places have. But then when you're swinging swords and you swing a sword at something, when you don't have the actual physical feedback when you hit something of it like stopping, it just like doesn't make sense to me. Like there's something about VR that I can't process because I don't know if my brain can suspend the disbelief enough. I can't suspend the disbelief enough for it. It's really weird. And it's just, yeah, and then the helmet is not comfortable, and there's just all sorts of crazy things. Yeah, it's absolutely motion sickness. That's 100% what it is. But obviously VR is really cool and stuff like that, but I just don't think it's going to be the next big thing because I just think that it's going to reduce a lot of ability for people. I think 3D printing is more important for that because you've already seen the kind of effects 3D printing has had, right? There's giant machines that 3D print houses, right? People have created a house 3D printer before. They are printing 3D objects to help animals. They printed a 3D turtle shell for a turtle that lost a shell, and they built a turtle shell for it. They found an eagle in the wild that had the top of its beak like ripped off or something like that, and they 3D printed him a beak. And now the eagle has a beak again. You know, they've 3D printed like, you know, prosthetic limbs for dogs and stuff so that they could walk again. Like this dog was missing its 2 hind legs and they 3D printed it and it was running around. It was like the happiest I've ever seen a dog and stuff like that. I really think 3D printing is the next big thing, to be honest with you. I really, really think 3D printing is going to change the world once it gets there, because what a lot of people don't realize is once 3D printing takes off and once it gets cheap enough that everybody can have 3D printers, then the concept of buying things becomes weird, because if someone puts out like, oh, here's a 3D printed fork, then everyone's just going to 3D print forks all day, right? Oh, I need this thing. Well, here's the 3D printed version of it, right? Like, once it becomes big enough and effective enough and fast enough, then what happens to the entire product market? What happens to it? Like, you don't even need to, like, is Amazon going to sell the blueprint to a 3D printed object now? Because why would I ever want to buy anything from anywhere when I can just 3D print everything, right? It's just a crazy, crazy situation. And again, like Instant Riot says, it definitely depends. And it depends on how the world goes, on how the laws get passed, et cetera, et cetera. But that's why I think it's going to change the world, because that's how the internet is already affecting things. The internet is throwing everything for a loop already. Digital property, stuff like that, all the anti-piracy stuff of music, Netflix, everybody shares Netflix account. You can't stop it. And so you've totally rewritten how all of this kind of stuff works, how all of this exists. We've rewritten how information is given to us and everything, and we have to make up all these new laws. And so the world had to react to the internet. I think the world has to also react to 3D printing in very, very similar ways. So, yeah, battery technology is probably... everything is behind. Dude, Isaac Locke, don't get me started on houses. Okay, don't get me started on houses, because I think the houses that we live in are woefully inadequate. I think the houses that we live in completely suck. Because if you live in a house right now, it was probably built 30 years ago, so it has all the outdated technology and everything like that. But think about a car. Think about a car, right? Cars are, in terms of the entire scope of thing, have not even existed necessarily for a century yet, right? When were cars created? Like the 30s or something, the 40s or something like that, right? If you think about a car right now, cars can practically drive themselves. My car parallel parks for me, right? It tells me to brake when I don't see a car in front of me, or it tells me when I'm drifting in the lane. It does all these crazy things on it, right? Like, just cars are ridiculous now. The amount of technology people come up with cars is ridiculous. Yet for houses, we're still living in the Stone Age, right? We're still living in environments where the house has to be heated or cooled, the entirety of it, even though nobody is in 90% of the house, right? Why aren't the air conditioner units that we have designed to the point where they know what room you're in and it just cools that room and it just heats that room? Why do we have to manually turn on lights, turn on and off lights, right? Why don't we have key cards to get into our home, right? Why don't we just have key cards to get into our home? Then you can give key cards to all your friends and deactivate them. And if anything ever happens and you need someone to get in your house, you can activate their card and they can come in and buzz themselves in and make sure that, something is okay. And then they leave and then you deactivate it. Now they can't get in your house anymore, right? There's just so many things about houses that we are just not doing right now. And the reason why for that is because houses are not a commercial product, right? Cars... it's a law now that cars after a certain year have to have a backup camera. They have to have a backup camera. Cars the companies, because they're making their companies, they want you to buy a Toyota car, they want you to buy a Honda car, will find the best way possible to make that technology effective and high quality in the cheapest way possible, so that you will buy it, and they've got to offer it at a fair enough price. That just doesn't happen with houses. You don't go to it and go like, that's an interesting Toyota house. Oh, but that's an interesting Honda house. So Toyota would be like, oh shoot, we're going to come up with this crazy house technology and figure out a way to mass produce it so we can make it for cheap, and that way we can just totally blow the Honda houses out of the water. So look at this, check out this cool, awesome feature here, for this house. That doesn't happen with houses. So we're living so far in the past when it comes to houses and homes and everything like that. This is something that I've always felt like we're so far behind on everything. So it's crazy. It's crazy. So why can't I get dealt any good cards in poker right now? One true sister, it's because you might have my bad RNG. You have my bad RNG. That's just how I feel about that. And yeah, you know, automobile smart keys, digital things like that, those can all be hacked and everything like that. And that's always going to be an issue, right? That's always going to be a concern, is like you're starting to open up other avenues of danger and other avenues of ability for people to break into things, right? But even still, I mean, people can pick locks, right? People can pick locks, and the percentage of people who are going to spend the time to figure out how to pick a lock are probably the same as the percentage of people who are going to, you know, take the time to figure out how to hack homes and stuff like that. You know, I feel like the more things change, kind of the more they actually stay the same. So yeah, it's almost 2020. Where's our hoverboards at, dude? We still don't have those hoverboards. What was it, 2015 and Back to the Future 2? We were supposed to be able to control the weather and have self-tying shoes and stuff like that. And you know, it's just not happening. So it's just not happening. Where's our moving sidewalks? Where's our flying cars? I know, right? The hoverboards with those two-wheel scooters, that doesn't count, man. Yeah, you have to physically pick a lock. You can also run a program on a PC to hack it and stuff like that. But I mean, okay, so you're going to hack it from far away, and then what happens there, right? What if the lock doesn't even have that much of a range except for inside the house? I don't know. There's a lot of different ways that you can secure it. And the thing about it is, if we had those kind of locks, people would have already been trying to come up with smart, intelligent ways to secure those things, to make sure people don't have that happen. Like, you can get a notification on your phone, something is talking to your door, you know, or something like that. It's just because we haven't started going that route, we also haven't gone the route of trying to figure out ways to be clever to prevent it from happening, right? I saw this video of this key that was actually developed that would make it impossible to pick. It was a lock that was actually curved. It was like serpentine on the inside, and the key that you actually had was stored in like this solid part over here, and you slid it forward, and it actually ejected out a key that was jointed all along the whole entire thing, so it actually slide through the lock, right? So basically, you put it in there, you shove the key into it, and it would actually serpentine through it, and then you could unlock it that way. So you couldn't pick it because nothing could get around the corners, get around the curve to actually pick the lock. Like, these things were created and existed, and yes, they're more secure, but just nobody cared. Because it really just didn't matter in the end. You know what I mean? So a lot of people talk about what if, but you know what? When they become kind of commonplace, it's just like, I don't know if it's actually something to be really scary. Yeah, look at video games. Atari 2600 is back. Yes, so the fun is back. Oh, yes, sirree. It's the 2600 from Atari. You know, and now look at the computers that we have. I mean, look at this thing. Look at this thing. Look at this. I'm going to show you this here. I am going to do something to blow your people's minds here. Okay, look at this here. Look at this. This is a shitty version too. This is a shitty version over here right now, okay? This is an old one. I've had this thing for over a decade. This is 1 gig. Okay, this is a 1 gig USB key. Look how small this is. This is 1 gigs right here. And nowadays, David has it over here, I think. Let me see. No, this is not. But you can do this, by the way. You can get USB keys that are this size, that are like 8 gigs, 16 gigs, right? You can actually get like 64 gig USB keys that are this big. That's actually possible. That's actually a thing that exists, right? And here's a 1 gig right here. 1 gig fits on this thing right over here. This thing can store 700 megabytes. This thing can store 700 megabytes. This thing was great a long time ago. Wow, 700 megabytes. Look how much that this can store, right? This thing was awesome. This thing was awesome. Zip disk, 100 megabytes. I have so many of zip disks right now, and I don't know how to get the information off of these things anymore. Because back in the day, I stored so many things on zip disk, and they're 100 megabytes. 100 megabytes. And it was so much goddamn memory back in the day. I was so happy and excited. And now I don't know what to do with this anymore. If anybody out there has a zip drive that can still read things, please let me know, because I may need your resources. Then there's this. I can recognize this. This is your save icon right here. This is your save icon right here. 3.5 megabytes. 3.5 megabytes. James 3D printed the save icon. Definitely true, dude. Like, this is tiny. And I probably have a floppy disk somewhere. An actual floppy disk that used to hold 1.44 megabytes that I could probably show you guys. But, I mean, look at the advancements that we have. And the houses that we still live in are just so incredibly inadequate that basically just to loop it all the way back around, right? So it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy how far we've gone. So with technology and everything like that, it's crazy. And that's why I honestly just believe our houses are still super far behind. By the way, Investigation Cone, if you just jumped on, I told the story about the Masters of Terrakasi present where you guys created the Parappa the Rappa face on it and was like, could it be? And then, of course, it turned out that Masters of Terrakasi sucked and Parappa the Rappa is like the greatest game ever, dude. Oh, my God. It's so good. It's so good. What's up, Toolbox? So I've been Marie Kondoing some of my closets in my house, and so I've run into a lot of really interesting things here. You want to see this cool thing? Here's all these CDRs here. I don't even know if these things can be read anymore. But I have over here my Alpha 3 AISM XISM combos on this disc. Here's disc number 2. Here's disc number 3. Here is my VISM combos. Disc 1. VISM combos, disc 2. VISM combos, disc 3. I actually do have them all on a hard drive already. They're all backed up already. So, but this is what I found in my closet, dude. I actually found these in my closet. My CVS1 combo video. CVS1 combo video over here, disc 2. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 combo videos. Oh boy. Here's more CVS2 combo video. Look at this. Ode to the 2-hit combo. Ode to the 2-hit combo video, dude. Like, I have all of this I have all of this stuff on my hard drive already, but maybe next time we'll sit down and watch these or something again. So, oh man, it's crazy. Let me see if I have all this stuff. So storage, video, MPEG Studio. Yeah, see, I have all my Alpha 3 stuff here on my hard drive and on a backup hard drive as well. So I have all the stuff that are backed up everywhere. So yeah, the 2-hit combo video, dude. I love that thing. I love that thing. I do have mixed CDs. Actually, I do have mixtapes. I definitely have mixtapes downstairs. I could bust out a bunch of mixtapes that I have over there too. So, dude, like I'm telling you, oh God, just revealing how old I am at this point in time. Jesus. Ugh. I even found a box in my closet of clip art. People used to buy boxes for clip art. Now we just go to Google Images. I had a box of clip art that I know I've had for at least like 15 years. And I was like, my God, have I actually ever done anything with this clip art? It was still sealed. It was still sealed. It had been taking up storage space in my closet for a completely sealed box. I opened it up and there are literally like 30 to 40 CDs in there of nothing but Windows 3.1 like resolution clip art graphics. Like, here's a butterfly, here's a planet, here's a banana, here's a monkey, here's a giraffe. And it was just like, Jesus, like, this is the desperations that we used to have to go to just to get artwork for our programs and for presentations and things like that, is because they just did. Does anybody even out there remember Print Shop? Man, what a great program, dude. Print Shop is awesome. But when we bought screensavers, I definitely had After Dark. I loved After Dark. I would always let my computer go into screensaver mode and I would just sit there watching it for no reason. Like the ones that would just drop the little marbles down. They were like little pachinko marbles and stuff. Oh my God. Flying toasters for sure. Oh man. So today's episode of Q&A is James Chen feels old and we get super nostalgic. I do still have the proofs of that old Marvel Superheroes guidebook. You know, I should go through that one of these days. I've always promised that I would, and I never have. I'll figure out a way to set up that stream. Lucien, I am an old man. In relative speak, in terms of fighting game community, I have been around the block. I have been here for quite some time, Lucien. So I am currently 43 years old. I'm almost 44. So I have been around for a long time. B3 footage was college, first year of college. B3 was first year of college for me. I was around when the microwave first became a thing. I was around when the VCR first became a thing. My dad got a VCR a long time ago, and those things were hundreds of dollars back in like 1980. So that's a lot of money as it is nowadays. But I still remember when we first got our first microwave, dude. I remember when phones became push button instead of rotary. Like, I lived during the time of using rotary phones, man. So yeah, so I've Lucien, honestly, it's just Asian don't raisin. It's just all it is, man. It's just my copy of Street Fighter the animated movie was bootleg VHS. So yes, I did have bootleg anime on VCR. So Asian don't raisin. Just like black don't crack, Asian don't raisin. It's just how it works. So yeah, somehow I've managed to stay. And the other thing that's actually been very beneficial to me is that I got my mom's hair, not my dad's hair. So my dad started losing his hair very, very early on. My mom still just has amazing hair. And, and she's had that her whole entire life. So I fortunately, knock on wood, got my mom's hair. So my hair is fabulous and helps me remain young. Oh, man. I did have the uncut Street Fighter Japanese fan-subbed version as well. Not the crazy American version with the industrial music in the background for no reason. I had the original Japanese one with the actual fan subs on it. So it was actually, I think, better. So potential new Street Fighter movie. That'd actually be funny. Who did I main in Karate Champ? I never discovered Karate Champ till later, and me and my two best friends kind of like really like my friend Jason always wants to play that against us because he's done real martial arts, and so it feels like to him that game doesn't make any sense to me. I'll do the same input and a different move will come out every time, and it just makes me angry, and so like it's hard for me to play that game. Dude. Yeah, Alice in Chains on the US version. Kyle, I mean, he doesn't really get washed. He just blows up a cabin with a sonic boom, and that's like kind of happened. I did not have any laser discs, but my dad has a bunch of vinyls at home. However, I do have a bunch of vinyls, but it's all the modern vinyls. I have like a bunch of Lights vinyls, and I have some They Might Be Giants vinyls, but those are all the ones that came out recently. So, Honda, yeah, and then Akuma was a hidden, yeah, he was the hidden fruit seller in the background. Oh man. You're 32 and already rocking the Jason Statham look. Yeah, I mean, look, it's like let's put it this way. My brother, who is older than me, was definitely losing his hair much younger than I am now. He was already losing a lot of his hair when he was in his 30s. So it's just the genes. My dad had the same problem. He started losing a lot of his hair when he was a little bit younger as well. And so it's all about genetics, man. Like, we're brothers. We came from the same parents. Yeah, he got my dad's hair. I got my mom's hair. And voila, I've been that fortunate ever since. So I got super, super lucky. I got really, really super lucky. So, yeah, that's what they say, Isaac Locke. If you don't lose your hair after 30, then it's great. And the thing is, too, is like if you look at my mom's younger brother, as well, same thing. You know, obviously male pattern baldness is a thing, but he didn't have it. My mom's younger brother has had lots of hair for a very long time. He's like, that side of the family was just very fortunate. So I kind of got away with that. So I got very lucky on that. And honestly, the other thing too is I don't smoke, I don't drink. You know, I don't do a lot of those things too, so I don't end up getting aged a lot from that. One of my favorite stories to tell is, you know, in the 80s, one of my favorite groups was the Bangles. Their rivals were the Go-Go's, right? So they were the two girl rock bands, right? It's the Bangles, the Go-Go's, Bangles, the Go-Go's. One of them was into drugs, one of them was not. And today, you can really tell. You know, I don't even have to tell you which ones were the ones that did drugs and drank a lot and the other ones that did not, right? Because I'll tell you this right now, Susanna Hoffs, who was one of the members of the Bengals, still looks fantastic. And she's like 50-something, 60-something right now, but she still looks freaking amazing. I saw a Bengals reunion concert like maybe 10 years ago or something like that, and God, Susanna Hoffs was still hot. She was still hot at that time, you know, and I was just like, oh my God, it's amazing. So I stand some Susanna Hoffs, okay. I was a big fan of hers. I was a big fan of hers. Come on. What, do you want me to pull up my clip art to find all the Bengals pictures? You can look up Susanna Hoffs on Google pretty easily, dude. Hoffs, Susanna Hoffs. It's not that hard to find her, so I can pull out my Bengals clip art. But yeah, I mean that's probably one of the reasons why that I have not aged very much, why I still look fairly youthful, is I just didn't partake in a lot of drugs or alcohol, right? So it's just one of those things. So, oh, thank you, L2P. Thank you. Alex the Seal. Yep. Mondegreen of Our Lips Are Sealed. So that definitely helps. But yeah. God, all I've been doing is talking about how old I am. Look, I did say maybe I would play some Street Fighter afterwards, but like I also said, I have basically just like been getting terrible sleep, and I'm really, really exhausted. And I do still need to do some editing for yesterday's Chen reaction, and I probably need to do some editing for today's Chen reaction. So I might not stream anything after this. I might actually yeah, Susanna Hoffs is godlike, dude. Jasmine, mwah, she's like, don't kiss me, I want food. So I probably won't stream anything right now. What I'm going to do is I'm probably going to do my best to do some editing. I might take a nap, and then I'll wake up at night, try to get myself into Tekken World Tour sleep schedule, and so I can watch that the next couple of days. But I definitely will be streaming tomorrow at 4 p.m. I'm going to do my Sam Show beginner lobby, so there won't be any Chen reaction. It'll just start, and I'll be doing the Sam Show beginner lobbies. If you are new to fighting games and you want to learn fighting games, Sam Show is a great way to start. And I have the beginner lobbies, and I give advice to players when they play. And because Sam Show is not all about all these crazy executions and stuff, and it's about the mindset and the reads and calling people out, I like using that as a teaching tool. And then not only that, but Sam Show has a great community out there with the Ronin Rumble. Obviously, Jeff the Hero's been doing a lot of good stuff with that. And so there's a good community. It's a good community to jump in. It's a good game to start with. So I'm going to do a Sam Show beginner lobby tomorrow at about 4 p.m. Pacific time. So basically, if you're interested in that, if you have Sam Show, it will be on the PS4. It's going to be the PS4 version. If you want to join in on that, definitely tune in tomorrow and come on in. It's going to be kind of like a first come, first serve kind of thing. I just pit two of the viewers together. I watch it, I give advice, and then afterwards I play the winner of the two, and just so I can keep learning. And Sam Show was definitely on sale during Black Friday. I don't know if it's still on sale right now. Sam Show is only on PS4 right now. The Switch version is coming out. Oh, on Xbox as well. But to me, the Xbox barely exists. Sam Show will be coming out on the Switch in December this month. And the Steam version should be coming soon, I think. I'm hoping. They've definitely announced it. Oh, dang, it's $9.99 on Amazon at the moment? Dang, okay, there you go. So you can grab Sam Show for $9.99 at Amazon right now. Or is it not $9.99? Oh, not. That's a mistype. $29.99. $29.99 on Amazon. Half off. That makes more sense. Okay, $29.99 on Amazon right now for half off. Man, the bait and switch investigation code? I see how it is. Dang, okay. But yeah. I mean, Gundam Jehudi Kai, one of the people that won the matches actually went on to beat me in our match afterwards as well. So I'm not great, but I'm definitely decent enough. So the players who are playing and winning are definitely still pretty strong. I had 3 people do a round robin and stuff like that, so they got a bunch of matches in there and everything like that. It's pretty exciting. So it should be a lot of fun. $29.99 on Amazon right now. So that's what I'll be doing tomorrow. There'll be no Chen reaction at the start of it. Should be a lot of fun if you guys want to come and play that. If I do take a nap today, after I wake up, I might stream some Breath of the Wild late at night tonight, because I don't care about staying up and stuff like that, because like I said, I'm trying to get myself into the Tekken World Tour sleep schedule. So I probably might go take a nap after this. I'll probably stop the stream right here, take a nap, wake up, eat some dinner, and then probably try to stream some Breath of the Wild tonight and stuff like that after I finish editing stuff. So I actually got to edit stuff before I can take a nap, or I'll take a nap and then edit. I don't know. I'm exhausted right now. I'm tired. So, but I'm probably going to go ahead and call it for a stream unless anybody has any more questions. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, you can always try to tune in at twitch.tv/jchensor to watch this live. It is at 4 p.m. Pacific time. So you can check that out there. But if you are on YouTube and you enjoy these videos, definitely like and subscribe below, and check me out, and any sort of support, donations, bits, and subscriptions to the Twitch channel are always appreciated. But subscribing to the YouTube channel is free. Definitely subscribe. youtube.com/UltraChenTV. Thanks guys for watching. Thanks guys for hanging out here in the chat. And I will talk to you guys later. Have a good night and peace out. Whoa.